Welcome to a special presentation from the Latino.BlackMedia group. You are about to listen to an experiment in storytelling. We fed the archives, scripts, and research from our Did You Know docuseries into Google's Notebook LM. What follows is an AI-generated conversation analyzing our work, finding the patterns, themes, and history you might have missed. It's unscripted by humans, but deeply grounded in our heritage. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are putting a stack of sources under the microscope to uncover the true history of a genuine American icon, the legendary comedian Redd Foxx, born John Elroy Sanford. For most of you, when that name comes up, you instantly picture the grumbling, chest-clutching junk dealer, Fred G. Sanford, from that massive 1970s TV smash hit, Sanford and Son.
And that familiar TV image is exactly what we need to move past. The sources we compiled show that the persona of the sitcom patriarch, it almost completely overshadows the revolutionary force Foxx was in American culture. Our mission today is to go beyond the laugh track and the famous chair to understand the real man, a figure who fundamentally broke color barriers, who invented uncensored black comedy as a business model, and personally mentored icons who are still revered today. We're tracking his surprising historical connections and analyzing the tremendous personal cost of paving that path for everyone who followed.
And right away, the sources give us a piece of trivia that hits with surprising emotional weight. The name of his most famous character, Fred G. Sanford.
It wasn't just some funny name. The Fred G was a deep, quiet tribute named after his deceased older brother. A piece of family history hidden in plain sight in one of network television's biggest comedies.
It immediately signals that the man behind the jokes was operating with a lot more complexity and depth than his public image let on. That depth is what we'll pursue throughout this deep dive.
Okay, let's unpack the earliest, most unexpected detail about his life, one that connects Foxx into one of the most consequential figures of the 20th century. We're talking about Foxx's close personal friendship with Malcolm Lynn, a little long before either of them were famous, in the gritty landscape of 1940s Harlem.
The historical context here is key. This was Harlem during its vibrant post-Renaissance period, but still an extremely difficult time for young, ambitious black men. The research shows that Foxx and Malcolm Little, who would later become Malcolm X, worked together side by side. They were dishwashers, right? At a spot called Jimmy's Chicken Shack. I love thinking about that shared experience.
Absolutely. Jimmy's Chicken Shack was their shared, formative environment. What's fascinating, according to the biographies, is that they both had reddish hair, which led to a shared convention in their street nicknames. Foxx was known as Chicago Red.
And Malcolm was Detroit Red.
Exactly. They were two young men, struggling economically, sharing a sense of humor and deep insights into the world around them, even if their destinies eventually pulled them into drastically different spheres of influence.
And what truly stands out is the early testimony to Foxx's innate talent. In his own autobiography, Malcolm X, a man known for his gravity and seriousness, referred to Foxx as the funniest dishwasher on this earth.
That's a profound endorsement. It proves that the core of Redd Foxx's comedic genius was not manufactured by Hollywood or network television decades later. It was raw, undeniable, and honed on the fly in the toughest possible circumstances.
But to truly appreciate that genius and how he translated it into cultural power, we have to look at the economy and the circuit he operated in before television. He rose through the brutal grind of the Chitlin circuit. We need to understand exactly what that was.
The Chitlin circuit wasn't just a series of clubs. It was a necessity forged by segregation. It was a network of black-owned nightclubs, theaters, and juke joints that ran across the United States. For black artists, it was often the only safe place, and certainly the only viable place, to perform their art without having to heavily sanitize their cultural experience for white gatekeepers.
And he was grinding. I mean, the sources say 3 or 4 shows a night, every night, for years.
For years. And that demanding environment led him to invent something entirely new. This is where the party records come in.
This was the original blueprint for uncensored adult black comedy, long before cable specials or streaming services existed.
That's right. These were physical vinyl albums, explicit, raw, politically charged, and hilarious. They were considered far too controversial for mainstream radio or record stores. They existed completely outside the official white-dominated music industry.
So they were sold.
How?
Under the counter.
Sold under the counter at barbershops, beauty salons, neighborhood stores. They were passed hand to hand within the Black community.
And that staggering number 10 million records sold forces us to look at the revolutionary business structure he created.
Yeah.
How do you even manage distribution and sales like that when you're effectively banned from official infrastructure?
What we discovered is that Foxx and his team built an incredibly sophisticated parallel distribution network. I mean, it was rooted entirely in community trust and ownership. They controlled the pressing, the packaging, the sales points.
They weren't just entertainers.
No, they were entrepreneurs fighting the economics of segregation. Selling 10 million units that way makes him an underground superstar of staggering proportion. He fundamentally proved that there was a massive, untapped market hungry for uncensored comedy that reflected their actual lives.
And the sources give us the insight into why his explicit material resonated so much. His philosophy was simple but profound.
Comedy is tragedy plus time.
He used the rawness of the party records to turn the pain of racism, economic struggle, and social injustice into humor. It wasn't just filth for filth's sake. It was a necessary mechanism for processing trauma and finding resilience. This authenticity was something the mainstream couldn't ignore, even if they couldn't play it on the radio.
So by the time the 1960s arrived, that raw, unvarnished truth had become an irresistible force. It absolutely did. It made him one of the first Black comedians to headline on the legendary Las Vegas Strip for primarily white audiences. And he didn't have to fully change his act. He brought the essence of that raw Chitlin Circuit party record truth directly to the establishment, forcing them to acknowledge the power of his art on his terms.
That mainstream success didn't change his commitment to community. In fact, the research shows he leveraged that visibility immediately to pull others up with him. Let's talk about the power of mentorship that defined his later career.
Foxx viewed success not as a personal achievement to hoard, but as a platform to create opportunity for others. The specific examples here are incredibly powerful because they show how he fundamentally changed careers and lives.
One of the most surprising examples is Pat Morita. Years before Morita found global fame as Mr. Miyagi in The Karate Kid, he was a struggling stand-up comedian.
And Foxx saw the potential. He believed in him, and he gave Morita the vital opening act spot in Vegas.
Which wasn't just a big, right? That was career elevation.
It was everything. Morita later spoke extensively about how Foxx's generosity gave him the exposure, confidence, and financial stability needed to pivot from stand-up to character acting. Foxx essentially jump-started the career of one of the most beloved screen presences of the 1980s.
And it wasn't just about professional generosity, it was about hiring from his actual life and community. A prime example is LaWanda Page, who played Aunt Esther.
Right. Page was more than just a talented actress he hired. She was his childhood friend from St. Louis, dating back to their shared time in the 1940s.
Wow. So he literally brought people from his earliest, hardest days in the community straight onto a top-rated national sitcom.
He used his newfound power to ensure that overlooked minority talent got employed at the highest levels of television.
And this commitment extended right into the creative heart of Sanford and Son. He wasn't just performing, he was fighting studio executives relentlessly behind the scenes to hire Black writers and ensure the production staff reflected the world the show was supposed to be portraying.
And this internal struggle was crucial. Without that pressure from Foxx, the show would have become a sanitized, Hollywood-engineered caricature of Black working-class life.
So by demanding Black writers and actors,
he ensured the show retained an authentic cultural voice. The sources make it clear that the real power of Sanford and Son was its groundbreaking portrayal of working-class Black fatherhood and the vibrancy of the community in Watts. That authenticity was a direct result of Foxx demanding control and representation.
Now that brings us back to the specific wit and cutting humor he was famous for. The jokes that were too raw for the radio eventually made it slightly cleaned up to prime time, and they still land today.
His one-liners were laser sharp, cutting through pretense. They were short, brutal, and funny, showing the evolution of the material that came off those party records.
Here are a few gems the sources cite that still give you a taste of his genius. On health, he famously quipped, "Health nets are going to feel stupid someday, lying in hospitals dying of nothing."
He just took the mundane and gave it that classic Foxx spin. And then there were the famous television insults that defined his persona.
The famous jabs at Aunt Esther were nonstop, but this one captures the energy. "I could push your face in some dough and make gorilla cookies."
That was his signature. And thinking back to the party records, a slightly cleaner but still classic piece of his observational, boundary-pushing humor, often referencing intimacy or social taboos.
"If you want to save water, bathe with a friend."
Exactly. He understood how to make people uncomfortable and laugh simultaneously.
But here is where the humor turns profoundly dark and tragic, connecting his career full circle to his end. The defining, most repeated running gag on Sanford and Son was Fred Sanford faking a massive heart attack to manipulate his family or get out of work. He would always clutch his chest and yell the line we all remember.
Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, honey. This is the big one.
The irony is absolutely chilling. The sources confirm that Red Foxx died in 1991, suffering a real fatal heart attack, not on the set of Sanford and Son, but on the set of his subsequent sitcom, The Royal Family.
And the most heartbreaking detail, one that speaks volumes about his professional life, is what happened immediately after he collapsed.
Cast members, hearing his collapse and seeing him clutch his chest, initially thought he was doing his famous bit. They didn't immediately rush to his aid.
Because they assumed it was just the famous Big One routine playing out one last hilarious time.
He literally died doing exactly what he was born to do, entertaining the world. But his most famous performance, the one that brought him immortality, completely masked his actual final reality.
It just raises an important question about how blurred the lines become between the performer and the person when they dedicate their life to a comedic persona.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? When we look back at the scope of Red Fox's career, we see he was so much more than a famous face on TV. He was a crucial bridge.
Bridge, yes.
He took the raw, uncensored, under-the-counter comedy of the segregated underground of the 1940s and connected it directly to the mainstream superstardom of the 1970s.
And by doing that, he guaranteed the door was left open. He built the foundation, proving the economic viability of authentic, uncompromising black humor. Every subsequent comic who broke boundaries, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Dave Chappelle, they all stand on the ground he laid down with those 10 million party records.
The ultimate takeaway from these sources is about ownership and shared success. Foxx was not just concerned with climbing the ladder for himself, he actively reached back down, whether it was fighting for black writers, elevating Pat Morita, or giving key mentorship to people like Paul Mooney, as the research details.
He fundamentally understood that true success is exponentially sweeter and far more impactful historically when it is shared with your community and applied to generate lasting opportunity for others.
And finally, a provocative thought for you to carry forward, considering the depth of the sources we've examined today. Given Foxx's decades of uncensored success and his constant, exhausting struggle for cultural authenticity on TV, what is that ultimate, tragic, delayed reaction to the big one, where his colleagues hesitated to help reveal about the crushing pressure black entertainers face to constantly perform and maintain that comic mass, even at the cost of their own immediate reality? Chew on that. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Thanks for diving deep with us. To explore the full archives of the Did You Know docuseries, head over to Latino.Black. This is where heritage meets the algorithm. I'm Santiago, signing off.